The Hague has gone quiet. No investigation, no preliminary examination, no mention, nothing. As protests raged in Dar es Salaam and opposition leaders crying foul, the International Criminal Court has remained a ghostly observer. And yet, in the streets of Tanzania, blood has been spilled, cameras confiscated, and voices silenced. We are asking the hard question: why has the ICC not opened a single case against President Samia Suluhu Hassan, despite one of the most controversial elections in modern East African history? Because behind the silence lies something deeper, a story of politics, power, and the limits of international justice. October 29th, 2025, Tanzania's general elections. President Samia Suluhu Hassan emerges with a staggering 97% of the vote in a race that saw major opposition figures like Tundu Lissu and Luhaga Mpina disqualified before ballots were even printed. The election, boycotted by much of the opposition, was marred by what human rights monitors describe as the most repressive campaign season in a generation, with media blackouts, internet shutdowns, and widespread intimidation. Even the Southern African Development Community, known for its diplomatic restraint, refused to label the election as free and fair. The verdict was blunt. The environment was not conducive to credible democratic participation. Then came the aftermath. Opposition supporters poured into the streets of Dar, Arusha, and Mwanza, only to meet the brutal force of the state. Human rights groups now estimate between 200 and several thousand deaths in post-election crackdowns. Amnesty International and local NGOs report over 200 enforced disappearances since 2019, a figure that spiked dramatically after the October polls. Phones went dark, social media vanished, and journalists were detained. In Tanzania's tense silence, fear replaced dialogue. By November 2nd, CHADEMA had issued a formal appeal to the ICC and the United Nations, calling for investigations into what they described as systematic mass killings.
With the video footages we see and that have even reached my phone here, and I can show you, you can see by yourself. And this is just a dot of what is on the ground, bodies on the roads, okay? Dead bodies on the roads, people cleaning those bodies. It is just a spot of the reality. And this is just Dar es Salaam. What about other regions? Talk of Mwanza, talk of Kahama, talk of Mbeya, talk of the rural areas, what has happened there. Tanzanians are not fools. Yeah, they have been recording all the incidents, and that's why up until now, Samia Suluhu Hassan and our government are stinking blood of Tanzanians. There is no any other body that can intervene. Not the AU, not the EAC, not even SADC. Only the UN and the ICC can establish the truth on the ground.
Protesters in the Tanzania diaspora have since gathered outside ICC headquarters in The Hague, demanding that prosecutor Karim Khan act. Yet as of November 5th, 2025, the ICC's own website shows no active situation or case for Tanzania, no preliminary examination, no referral, not even a statement. It is a silence that's starting to feel strategic.
This is the formal claim to the International Criminal Court, ICC. Date 5th November 2025. We request the International Crime Court for the fact findings missions to enter Tanzania and call International Criminal Court to hold Tanzanian security chiefs accountable for the crimes against humanity.
Here's the technical side. The ICC doesn't open cases overnight. Before launching a formal investigation, it must find a reasonable basis to believe that crimes under its jurisdiction, like crimes against humanity, were committed. That's the easy part. The harder question is, who refers the case? A situation can be brought to the ICC by a state party, by the UN Security Council, or by the prosecutor's own initiative, or what many call proprio motu. Tanzania, being a member of the Rome Statute since 2002, technically falls within jurisdiction, but so far no state has made that referral. Without it, the ICC's hands, at least procedurally, remain tied. So why hasn't The Hague acted? 3 reasons dominate behind closed doors. First, political caution. The ICC has learned from its African backlash era, Kenya, Sudan, Uganda, where its actions were branded neo-colonial. Tanzania's stability still matters to regional powers, and the court may be treading carefully. Second, evidentiary gaps. With internet shutdowns and journalists silenced, verifying crimes independently is almost impossible. And third, timing. The ICC's next major report on preliminary examinations drops in December 2025. Insiders believe the Office of the Prosecutor is monitoring developments in Tanzania quietly before making any public declaration. This isn't just a Tanzanian story, it is an East African test case. If a sitting president can secure near total power through questionable means and still evade international scrutiny, what message does that send to the region? Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, all watching closely. Samia Suluhu came to power in 2021, promising reform and openness after the heavy-handed Magufuli era. But as her government tightens its grip, the promise is collapsing into a mirror image of what it once condemned. The ICC's silence in many ways is louder than any indictment. It tells us that the international justice still bends to the currents of diplomacy, that even in an age of instant outrage, the machinery of accountability moves at a glacial pace, if it moves at all. For Tanzanians seeking justice, the wait continues. For The Hague, the credibility test deepens. And for East Africa, the question lingers. Who will guard the guardians? The ICC's annual report in December may offer the first formal clue about whether the court is watching Tanzania. Until then, the protests grow louder, the pressure mounts, lives lost, and the silence remains deafening, because sometimes the absence of justice speaks volumes. What do you think about ICC's silence on Tanzania's case? Drop your comments. Newsroom, Maisha TV, Bushabi Jr.